Mr. Next Mortgage here. Thank you for joining me as we navigate through the twists and turns of the lending labyrinth, featuring expert interviews, industry trends, and real life stories that shed light on all aspects of mortgage lending and real estate. Together, let's explore the world of lending and empower ourselves with the knowledge needed to make informed financial decisions.
Yeah.
Happy Monday, Lynn.
Happy Monday. Has anybody ever told you that you have an amazing radio voice?
No, they always say I have a face for radio. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's
witty.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're back. Last week we did not have a show.
We did not.
We had some technical difficulties.
We did.
Where were you last week, Lynn?
I was in Tennessee for the whole week away from my family.
The whole week, yes.
The whole week.
Lynn went to Nashville, Tennessee with all the Nashvillians.
Nashvillians?
Nashvillians? Yeah, Nashvillians. And what were you doing in Nashville?
Well, I went a few days early and got to see some friends and some partners and some, just people that we're working with. And then, friends like John Newton, Jeff and Curtis and all of them, had some dinner. And then on Wednesday, our company had a conference.
Yeah. Conference. Before we get into that.
Okay.
Before. I think last week was an exciting week for you. And let's just so today's episode, we're in a new year. We're in February, believe it or not, which is crazy because 2024, I mean, I'm going to be buying Valentine's gifts for everybody before you know it, but everyone has a New Year's resolution. But I think the great thing that kind of last week entitled, I think last week was like the last week of January, but an empowering week for just the team here at Next Mortgage, because we had a Tony Robbins thing.
We did the week before last.
Yeah, we had a live Zoomcast or podcast or something with Tony Robbins. So, if anybody doesn't know who Tony Robbins is, I'm sure you can Google him, but very motivated speaker. He's all about breaking out of your shell, doing what feels right, and
not necessarily what feels right, but breaking out of your shell and doing the things that you need to dare to do. Correct.
And I think what everybody's goals are for 2024, and him having that so early in the year was kind of like really good because we all want to meet our goals, especially, we want to either meet our financial goals, our weight loss goals, our what we plan to do goals, or we want to travel, or we want to do a lot of things. And so I think one of the things that I kind of keep in the back of my head, and I heard this somewhere and I don't know who to give it credit to, but hope is like a drug called hopium, and it will kill you. Just, hopium will kill you. If you hope to do this, hope to do that, hopium will kill you, because I can hope all day long, but the actions behind it, if I'm not making those actions behind it, then I'm just
not going to get any results.
Dead in the water. So we had a Tony Robbins thing. What did you learn from Tony Robbins?
My biggest takeaway from Tony Robbins is I consider myself to be a very positive person, right? Like, I love putting the positivity out there in the world. And Tony kind of shot me down there for a second.
I don't want to hear about your good feelings.
And really, but there's so much truth to it, right? What was his thing? He's like, he said, I don't believe in the positivity. Not that people shouldn't be positive and everything else, but if something bad happens, you can't positively think your way into making it different. Unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. Oh, okay, great. And, it's not going to change anything. But the difference is, and what the key is your energy, right? We're all going to have the high energy, and the high energy is great when things are going really well. But when things are going not so well, it's that energy that's going to help keep you moving forward. So keep your energy high. And that was a really big takeaway. And energy is different than the powerful, positive thinking.
Oh, no, definitely. I think you can lose the energy to do anything. And I think that's the biggest thing that'll kind of break you down, is because if you lose the momentum, I think I heard this from another podcast where motivation and discipline are two different things.
Yeah.
Because you could be motivated to do something and you can lose your motivation. Motivation can be lost, but discipline, if you have the discipline to eat, if it's a weight loss discipline, wake up at 5 a.m, get to the gym, do your cardio, or not eat what you're not supposed to eat. That's one aspect. But if you're motivated and you're just not feeling it, and you're just like, you know what? Because God, emotions run so much of who we are and what we do, and I think Tony hit a lot of those key points. Is like, back to hopium. Let's not hope that these stuff kind of works out because of what we're trying to, succeed and everything like that. You have to actually have action behind all those things that you're trying to do. It has to be quantitative.
It has to be quantitative. I mean, so this year we kind of took, well, not necessarily just this year. Last year I did this too. We kind of took a different approach on goals, right? There are many things that I work to achieve, whether it's, fitness, health, or whatnot. But last year I made, instead of making a New Year's resolution with a list of things that I wanted to achieve throughout the year, I chose one word of what my year wanted to represent. That's hard.
one word to rule the whole
year in every aspect. Huh? Last year was joy. Mm-hmm. And that means that joy is pouring out into everything that I do, into all the people that I come across with, into my job, into the kids, into our marriage, into everything that I do. I wanted joy to be a big abundance and all of that. And choosing words to represent your year is, it's hard to stick with it every single day. So this year, my word was growth in, financially, spiritually, personally, relationally, physically, all of it. I wanted it to be very present and very seen in everything that I did, right? I wanted it to be at the end of the year that you could see that growth happened in all of those aspects.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a dollar growth. It's not like, well, I made $50 and I want to make $100. I think when you're trying to grow, whatever that may be, knowledgeable or, learn something or just do things a different way. I think one thing that we always say is what got you there can't get you here.
Right. And so
the same thing that you did, like I think another thing is that if you want to achieve different outcomes, you have to do different ways of doing those different outcomes.
Exactly. And in order for those things to kind of happen, you've got to dive into different things than what you're used to. So, I mean, we start the year off with, doing Tony Robbins, and I've been reading up a storm, and not just, I love reading inspirational books. I love reading, my guilty pleasures of John Patterson, favorite author. But the educational piece too. There was tons of books that we've gotten to help, skyrocket us. So
those books don't help me though, because if there was a murder to take place, all of her knowledge about John Patterson would lead you'd be in trouble. She'd be Sherlock Holmes and say, "Oh man, this happened in book number 4 of The Butler Did It."
I'm a wealth of knowledge here. Guys, if there's one thing I can tell you, read, even if it's fiction. But yeah, so I mean, but because of that, we've been searching for growth and for everything. And this past week, we had the opportunity to do the conference, which has been, I think it's been their first conference that they had. And before we get to the conference, I just kind of reiterate, our company having a conference coming out of probably the hardest mortgage year in a while. I mean, it's not the hardest ever, but it was a shell shock to a lot of people who've done this one way. And last year was not a way you can continue to do things the way you did. I mean, it put a lot of mortgage loan officers on their toes, and a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. I think it just rocked everybody. But for our company to say, you know what,
last year was hard. We need a reset button. We need to find out what works, and let's bring everybody together to.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of these conferences that companies do, like, you'll have motivational speakers and everything else, or, industry speakers, which is always great. There's tons of things that you can learn inspirationally and everything else. What I gathered from it and what I took away from it was actually from our peers, the panels, and seeing how they do things and seeing everybody's take on what's going on with the market. Somebody who is extremely well known out there in the market for what's going on with rates and everything else is Barry Habib. He loves predicting, the year's forecast, and we got to hear him speak, and that was very interesting. He says, like, a common saying that I say of, marry the house, date the rate. But he went more into it as to the why of you marry the house and you date the rate. And that's important to know that why. You can be at or you could be at whatever the rate is as of right now, and it may not be the low rate that you want it, but housing prices have continually gone up by 4% every single year.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to continue going up. It has not changed. There has been nothing in this market that has changed that. And even though the media wants to sit there and try to put that kind of fear out there, if you do the math and you're looking at the trends, what cost you, a $300,000 house one year in a couple of months may not be the same. So even with whatever rate you have, if you wait, you're going to combine that in with possibly a lower rate, but a higher sales price and ultimately a higher payment. Whereas if you marry the house now and date the rate, you can get in with what the sales prices are now and change the payment later, change the rate later.
So the education piece, and that's a lot what we try to do here at the Lending Labyrinth. I think the education piece on how to convey being okay with a higher mortgage rate, especially when we're all very babied when it came to mortgage rates. I went to a first-time homebuyer seminar on Saturday, and one of the sponsors, who was a Redfish Inspection, say what's up to those guys.
What's up?
She said she had a 2.99 interest rate, and she was never moving.
But you know what? And that was another thing that he was bringing up. We have a buyer who's at a 2.75. I mean, and people can sit there. You need to kind of look at your combined interest, because you may have a 2.99, but do you have a car payment? What's the interest rate on that? Do you have credit cards? What's the interest rate on that?
Oh yeah. No, I did a whole video on like what's an Apple card right now, like 30% on the credit card. So yeah, it's pretty wild. People
but
can
I'm
walk
gonna
around.
stick with that 2.25.
Yeah.
When you could take your proceeds, pay off your debt, and then have everything underneath one. So it made sense, and it but nobody's really talking about what those are. And I have to tell you, for as long as we've been in mortgages, everybody says, I specifically say it's not selling, we're providing a service. And his thing is stop selling, provide solutions. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to provide solutions for people. We want to provide them with knowledge so that they can make the right decisions, no matter where you are. I mean, that's the whole intention of this podcast, is to, provide knowledge.
Give the knowledge. So I think one thing that's cool about Next Mortgage, the company we work for, me and Lynn have been in this business for 20 plus years.
Really?
Maybe. So out of all the companies I worked for, there was never a point where I really had access to the CEO of my company. Especially when I worked for Chase, there's no way I'm getting access to the CEO of a Chase, especially working in a small little branch in Texas. But the fact that Chris Matthew George is our CEO, is able to come out, give words of wisdom, rally cry. Like, what was the biggest thing that you took away? I've heard Chris George speak many times, but what was one thing you there in person with the head honcho? What was one of the things you kind of took away from what he was telling everyone?
So I'm one of those emotional, sensitive people. I don't like seeing people cry, and if they cry, I cry. Like if I ever see you cry, that's just it. The world will, come to a halt. I don't like it. I'm very
She hates
emotionally.
being left out of the crying, so everybody cries.
Don't do it. Um, and he got up there and he speaks with such conviction. He truly means the things that he says whenever he's like, we do this for a family or we do these type of deals. And he gives out his phone numbers to us so that we know that we can always reach out to him if we need it. But he,
And I have his phone number in my phone,
yeah.
and I'm so scared to butt dial it.
Sorry, Chris.
Because I don't know if he answers his own phone, but I don't want to be the guy that accidentally butt dials Chris
Just
George.
if he calls you, just make sure he picks up because he said he might.
It'd be the craziest thing. Oh, you're doing a great job. Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
But anyways, like he was up there and he got he's really passionate about what he does, and he had gotten up there and he started breaking a tear a few times. And so just to see our leader be that passionate about something, it had nothing to do with the words that he said. Everybody speaks words all the time. It was just the passion you felt behind what he said. That's what my big takeaway was.
He's really good. I mean, and he's been doing it longer than us, and running a company. And the awesome thing about Chris is that he has one of those stories.
Oh, he has tons of them.
I mean, when you think about one of the richest guys in the world, Bezos, who started in his garage, Chris was the same kind of CEO. He started in his garage, home loans.
I don't think it was in his garage. I think it was like in his bedroom or something like that.
It wasn't in a Fortune 500 company.
It was not.
But
that's what the story was. That's the part that he was talking about. Like when it came up, he said that he was talking to his dad about starting a company, and his dad asked him, what are you going to name it? And he says, Christopher Matthew George CMG. And he goes, well, that's the name your mother and I gave you. And he's like, yes, sir. And he goes, his dad replied to him and said, well, just don't mess it up. And this is the part that he started getting teary-eyed. He said, thank you so much for everything that y'all have done. You're making my dad proud and everything that you're doing with this company. And he was just, he was very authentic and vulnerable with it. And I got goose pimples for it. I'm getting goose pimples now for it.
Reliving the moment. So
I
think,
know.
and it's not just him. His wife is amazing. And it all goes so, the very first full year I was at this company, me and Lynn had the privilege of making President's Council, which means you're pretty awesome in my book. And they make you feel awesome here at this company. And so what they did is they took us to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I would never known about going to Hawaii or even thought about going to Hawaii if they weren't taking us to Hawaii. And so it was one thing shopping for Hawaii. I bought the most loudest color pink swim trunks. I made sure I made sure that if a helicopter needed to see a flare or something of pink,
SOS,
they were going to see my pink swim shorts. And I didn't know Chris's wife for anything in the world, and she was just walking by in the lobby where we were just sitting down and relaxing, and she commented on my shorts, came over, gave us big hugs, and we were talking like we were friends for years. And then when I realized who she actually was,
it took us a minute. I don't think I figured it out until afterwards.
She started hinting to Chris, and I was like, this couldn't be the boss's wife hugging me and talking to me like the way she is. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
They're very amazing people. I'm glad that we work for a company with people like that leading the helm.
Definitely. So when you're talking about your word, I came up with a word too.
What is it?
My word is dream.
Okay, expand.
And so I heard this from Dave Chappelle, actually. And
I actually really do like him.
Dave Chappelle, very, very straightforward, great comedian, but straightforward comedian, can probably make a joke out of the worst of situations, and he has. But his last comedy special on Netflix. He said something at the very end because he always tells. If you ever watch Dave Chappelle, he always tells like this whole. He always goes through all of his bits, and at the very end of his show, he'll say like a bit that makes you think, but then he's keeping it funny at the same time. But you're like, man, that's powerful. But like he's also trying to keep it funny. And then he was talking about apparently where he was performing was a place where he started, like where he was actually getting his big break. And so he was telling a story where he had to confront some Russian mobsters, and then he was upset, that he was trying to be a success, and these Russian mobsters ran this club downstairs, and they were playing loud music and he was doing a show upstairs, so his show didn't go good, and then he was upset with the mobsters. But he said something that was very powerful. He says the guy with the biggest dream always wins.
That is powerful.
And it was pretty awesome. I was like, I'm
that
stealing
was actually
that.
that was actually probably one of the takeaways that I took from this past week, and I think I shared it with you over the weekend, right? Mm-hmm. I was very happy, this year with my word of growth, and we had done our business plan and everything, and I had even posted this on Facebook. But my vision board and all of that great stuff. And I kind of just looking at the amazing people that, are our peers and things like that. And there are peers. And there was one woman specifically who had a business model that was very similar to ours, who went through a very trying 2023 and still killed it this year or this past year. And these people really are no different than us. But I kind of realized from all of the perspectives that I've had and all the things that I wanted to achieve that I was very happy with, and I thought that it was amazing and big and being bold. It was just I had my little cup and I was pouring it into a bowl and I was happy and content. And I realized, like, man, I'm still limiting myself, because when you look at other people's perspectives and the things that they're going after, you don't even know how much bigger to dream. Like, you may think like your dreams are big and bold, but when you start getting into there to other people's perspectives and what they're going after, you're like, I never even thought of that. So it turned out that we threw away the bowl and we're jumping into the ocean. So
there's milk everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. There's no bowl to hold the cereal. No, but I definitely get what you're saying. And I actually got this from Chris Reyes, who's a manager at Prime Lending. Used to work at Prime Lending for a bit.
Yeah.
Say what's up to Chris out there.
What up, Chris?
So Prime Lending, oddly enough, does a sales rally every year. Really good at it, and they roll out the red carpet. So that was just one thing that was pretty awesome, because they don't want you not to know.
Yeah.
But again, at the sales rally, in the same kind of floor plan, you're hearing from all these people are within the company that are just killing it. They're million on top of million on top of $1 million producers, who are making $1 million a year. And the biggest thing, and you kind of came back saying this, but I've already heard this. He goes, the only difference between you, that guy on stage, and you down here, he goes, there's nothing. He goes, there's nothing different between you and them. He goes, there's nothing special about that guy up on that stage. And that's one thing that I try to teach the people that I manage underneath me. I am not special by any means. I may be able to be funnier than the average bear, but I mean, there is nothing. I went to a public high school. I went to a public university.
We came from humble means.
Like my parents still live in the house I grew up in. But if you truly want to be what you want to be, you just got to be hungry enough to go be that. And
that's something that we actually try to teach our girls.
Because there's nothing like if I want to open a chicken restaurant, unless I go figure out how to make the best chicken and then have the desire to give that to people and try to push that, I mean, like, heck, Colonel Sanders was well into his 60s when KFC came out.
It's true.
But there is no expiration date for meeting your goals, whatever that may be.
And there literally is no difference from the them to what you are. And I kind of, when I came back and I was talking to you about it, I kind of expanded on it a little bit, because I may not always have the highest self-esteem. I try and I shoot for it. But it, we always get lost in the art of comparison, right? And there were some very vibrant women there, that are just killing it. And whenever you do that and you get lost in the comparing and everything else, you're taking away from you and what your power is, what your superpower is, and how you're unique. And that one woman who fought like hell last year, who had the same business model as us, was probably one of the most down to earth people that I've met in these kind of situations. And it's, none of them are any different. None of them.
No, absolutely not. And so, yeah, it's really about like,
so whatever your dreams are,
go for your dreams.
Go for your
if
dreams.
Your dream
find
is
people, but find
home
people.
ownership, and that's where all this whole last 20 minutes is leading to, is you buying a house. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, but honestly, that could be part of it. But everyone here wants something different, or everybody hopefully listening out there has that goal, whatever it may be. And all we're here is saying, because of the last 2 weeks of all the inspiration that's been poured into us in our business, because it's phenomenal, we're just kind of pouring that back out, because we just want to let everybody know that information.
We even have like a goal setting class that's coming up on the 20th, for real estate agents too. And it's
called
about
the Power Hour.
No,
not that one. No Power Hour.
No. That's something else that's starting tomorrow.
Yeah, I won't be here for that. I will be in Dallas. I won't be here for that.
No, but there's a goal setting class that we're doing on the 20th. And it, as much as we are being poured into, because we're thirsty for it right now, like we are, and I pray that that thirst stays alive, because that's how we grow. Ooh, I get an applause on that?
You get a clap for that one.
Yeah.
Stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty. That's clap worthy.
There you go.
No, but we are trying to
make that
put
into
that out there.
A shirt or something.
Stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty. Well, I mean, I guess it's like what the commercial, stay thirsty, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friend.
Yeah, definitely.
No, it's mine.
Yes.
It's mine.
So the biggest thing for this episode is just going out for your goals. Don't limit yourself. Find out what you're good at. I think I don't know what Morgan Freeman movie it was, but a lot of people think that they're destined for something, or they're good at something, and they think they should be capturing whatever it is that they're good at. And there's this part where a woman is asking her, is like, why didn't, if you feel like you're destined for this, and then you start doing something else that you're really, really, really good at, why continue to do that if you don't want to do that? And Morgan Freeman kind of says, well, if you figure out what you want to do early on in life and you're lucky to do that, then great. But if
is that Ted 2?
No, it wasn't Ted. But he's saying, but if you're going along in life and you just kind of realize that you're really, really good at something, and then you're like, I just don't want to do that, then you're denying a part of yourself, because that's what you want to be. And that's truly may not be who you want to be, but you just don't realize that's what you are.
Hey, that's some powerful words right there.
It is. It's Morgan Freeman. I mean, that guy's good at that kind of stuff. I want him to just like sing, just read me to bed one night. If we can get Morgan, if you're listening, you're welcome to the Lending Labyrinth. We want you on the show. But yeah, I mean,
how awesome would that be?
Yeah,
I mean, talk about dream big. Yeah. I'll dream that one.
Right, definitely. So we're back on track, back for episode number 4.
Okay.
And we're going to keep on going, guys.
I think that you have like Jill Bennett coming up pretty soon.
We have some agents coming to the podcast that, and that's the awesome thing about it. People have actually reached out to us and they want to be on the show. Because like I said, this isn't always going to be about buying a home or everything real estate. I think goals is a lot of what we do in this industry. We always have goals, but it doesn't have to just pertain to our business. It can be anything. And we were just, I think, with all of that, like we are saying, that got poured into us this week, with Tony Robbins, the speakers and everyone that we talked to last week, I think that it was a perfect segment for this week's show, because we want you guys to meet your goals, whatever those goals might be financially.
What's your word?
I told you it was dream.
Not you, them.
Oh, yeah. What's your word? Yeah, it's them, you out there. What is your word? Put in the comments below. What's your word for 2024?
And stay thirsty.
And stay thirsty. And let's help you stay thirsty and get that. But
Throw
again,
away your bowl.
What's that?
Throw away your bowl.
Yes, I wasn't there for that one, but if you have a bowl, throw it away.
There was that I came up with all on my own, and I broke a board.
That's throw away your bowl is another. Lynn has another one.
And I broke a board.
Yeah.
I really karate chopped a board in half.
When you saw the board, were you like, I can't do that, and then you did
No. Actually,
did you feel like Mr. Miyagi and?
I went up to the board so confident, he showed us the stance and everything.
Uh-huh.
I did the stance wrong and I didn't break it the first time. I had to redo it. But I
please
broke
don't
it the
hurt
second
yourself,
time.
ma'am. We're not insured here.
But I did break it. That was the point.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for staying tuned with us on another episode of the Lending Labyrinth. Remember, getting through the maze is hard, but thank God we have a map, and we're that map for you guys. So please let us know. Contact us below. Like I said, we are a mortgage lender here in Texas, and so if you need anything with us, we're always happy to help. And we will see you on the next episode. Talk to you soon.